Opening tip to Georgia Tech. Tony Akins handles it. He had a dozen points in the opening game of this series. Won by Duke in a big way at Cameron Indoor Stadium, 99-58.
In that game, Georgia Tech turned the ball over 22 times, Bob, and 13 of those were Duke steals, which means Duke took the ball down and converted it into dunks and layups.
Alvin Jones squeezed on a double team. Loose ball. Langdon picks it up.
And an inauspicious beginning for Georgia Tech. Jones needs to recognize when he's covered and get that ball to an open man. Man-to-man for Georgia Tech.
Avery takes it down the wing against Akins. Battie moves in, and the right-hander won't go. Alvin Jones clears to Tony Akins.
I think this is an important part of the game for Georgia Tech. They would really like to get the ball down the court quickly before the Duke defense can get set. Once that defense gets set, it's as good as any defense in the country.
Akins faking. A little daylight on the baseline. Instead, played it to Alvin Jones. Avery with the takeaway. 3-on-1 Duke. Avery shovels to Carrawell. He missed the shot, but Brand is there. He missed, and Collier clears.
Talk about transition defense. John Babel did a great job in transition defense blocking that shot. But Georgia Tech, Bob, they've had 3 possessions. They've turned it over 3 times. They have yet to shoot the ball.
Bobby Cremins at Georgia Tech in his 18th season as the head coach. He's had some classic battles with the Blue Devils, particularly in this building.
The Akins-Avery matchup what we talked about.
Langdon on the baseline.
You wouldn't normally expect to get a lot of shots like that against Georgia Tech with Alvin Jones patrolling the lane.
Akins leaving it short. Avery the rebound.
Boy, Duke gets out so quickly and gets down the court.
And count it. No, check it. It's going to be an offensive foul on Avery. Good job by Tony Akins to take that charge.
Mike Krzyzewski shaking his head, but this is what Akins needs to do. Lots of times it's hard to play defense in transition, but you move your feet, you get your defensive position established, and once it's legally established, you can move to maintain it, and that's what Akins did in drawing the charge.
2-0 Duke. Collier. That's up and off. Rebounded by Carrawell. This is the 3rd straight game that Georgia Tech has come out to start the game cold. Scoreless against Clemson to the first TV timeout. Only 2 against NC State here Tuesday. And inside, Battie follows.
Jason Floyd did not block him out. Battie rose up and shot the ball from the outside, and Floyd turned around, and Battie ran right past him.
Long lob goes over the head of Collier, out of bounds. So another Georgia Tech turnover. And this is a Duke club that will make you pay for any and every mistake.
Floyd goes running at the ball trying to block the shot. You can see him flying out of the picture, and Battie flies right back in.
4-0 Blue Devils. Avery to Langdon. And that one deflected by Floyd, but picked up inside by Brand. And the presence of the big bodies for Collier and Jones making life tough for Elton Brand in the early moments of the game. And Battie and Collier fight for possession. They will go to the arrow, it appears. And the ball belongs to Duke. Boy, Georgia Tech in 7 possessions, Dan, 0 for 2 with 5 turnovers.
Bob, and one of their difficulties has been you know, as I said, once that Duke defense gets set, it's a hard defense to attack.
Langdon over Collier and puts it home. In a bit of a shooting slump, but Langdon off with 2 quick field goals, a jumper and a drive to date. 6-0 Duke. Babel dumps it into Collier. Triple teamed, and boy, just suffocating defense by Duke. Saved by Avery. Or was he on the sideline? It's going to be out of bounds. To Georgia Tech with 14 on the shot clock.
Boy, that's a break for Georgia Tech, Bob. Babel just let that ball go out of bounds. It's one of those plays where you don't want to get it unless you're sure you can, but Babel could have picked that up easily. Instead, he elected to let it go out of bounds, almost lost it.
Air ball for Collier into the hands of Carrawell. Stop and pop for 3. Chris Carrawell no good. Akins runs down the miss. Tony drives, controls it, throws it up and off. Floyd to Akins in the corner. Tip is good, and a foul call. See which way it's going to go, I think, against the Devils.
Guess since Collier's going to the line, they gave him the basket. I think it was Jones who fouled him.
Elton Brand.
As I said, I think it was Jones who fouled him.
6-2 in favor of Duke. Tech's not complaining. They got a bad.
No, heck no.
They might even take a foul on a teammate. Here's Avery. And again, Duke trying it inside. They get the bucket this time, and a foul on Tech.
Foul's going to be against Jason Floyd. Bob, one of the things that happens, you might say that, okay, let's not take it inside because Georgia Tech has those big guys in there, but when you take it inside and draw the defense, it creates offensive rebounding opportunities. Langdon with the offensive rebound gets it to Avery, who does a real nice job getting his body into Jason Floyd and forcing Floyd into the foul.
Avery hits the free throw to complete the old-fashioned three-point play, and the Devils have a 7-point lead and a timeout in Atlanta.
Georgia Tech, as you said, has turned it over 5 times. It's generally a pretty good sign if you can get twice as many attempts at the basket as your opposition.
Floyd dumps it low to Alvin Jones.
And this is where Georgia Tech has really had trouble, Bob. Once they get it in there, if you'll notice, there's another turnover. They throw it inside. 6 turnovers now, and all the other white shirts stand there and watch what's going on. You've got to throw it inside and then make yourself available for a return pass so the defense can't drop down in and put that kind of pressure on your inside people.
Corey Battie into the ball game for the Blue Devils. James inside, Taman Domzalski. Battie.
Georgia Tech playing zone. And there's going to be a foul against Babel out on the perimeter.
Johns first.
Bob, it's no secret that Duke is a team that has real good quickness at just about every position, and so it's going to be difficult for the Yellow Jackets to prevent Duke penetration. And Babel just wasn't quick enough with his feet that time.
William Avery.
Stay in the zone.
Battie into Domzalski. Takes it right to Jones and lays it in.
Bob, and that's, you'll notice the difference right there. When they throw the ball into the Georgia Tech big guys, they catch it and they're holding it, waiting for something to happen. That time Domzalski caught the ball and went right to the basket, made a move so quick that nobody could drop in to help out.
And a blocking foul on Battie. That'll be Shane's first. 11-2 Duke.
Collier catches the ball and gives that fake, and Battie, the league's best at drawing charges, tries to get the charge. Just didn't get his feet in position in time. Battie thinks he did, though.
He'll have a chance to think about it now on the Duke bench. Babel for 3, got it. John Babel's hit only 3 threes all season, but helps keep Tech alive. It's 11-5. James knuckleballs and misses. Collier out to Akins. Tech trying to get this crowd excited. Akins long with it, and Battie just sprints from end to end. Nice pass. Langdon ducks to Brand. The lane is good.
Bob, they just get out and go, and you're not the highest scoring team in the country unless you have the ability to do that. But Brand, very impressive, getting down the court and making himself available early in the offense.
Collier for 3. That makes it 13-8 Duke. Collier, Georgia Tech's leading scorer.
I think Georgia Tech is really going to need to make effective use of the three-point basket today.
Nate James, he puts it home. The DC sophomore with his first basket, 15-8 Blue Devils. Well, if the three-point shot is to be a big weapon for Tech, they've got to get Jason Floyd involved.
And it's going to be hard to get Floyd involved with the defense that he's seen today.
Inside Babel.
Took too long.
Look at Battie get back. Even though the foul was called, boy, you talk about reacting after getting caught out of position. Babel to the free throw line, where it has been a struggle for him. 47%. He averages 6 rebounds and 6 points a game. Battie for Domzalski. TJ Vines replaces Jason Floyd for Georgia Tech.
Bob, you mentioned Jason Floyd hadn't really been a factor in the game, but that happens when you have Chris Carrawell or Nate James or Corey Maggette trying to guard you sometimes.
There are 8 other teams in the conference that you could compare notes with about how tough it is to get going against the Duke D. Maggette right to the bucket. Tipped up and in by James.
You're going to give that basket to Brand, Bob.
He's got 4. And a travel on Alvin Jones.
Again, Bob, as Alvin Jones catches the ball, he just waits too long with it. Maggette flying through there. And Elton Brand, well, they gave it to Brand, but it was actually Nate James coming in there and making the tip. Well, that's okay. Brand got a foul that he shouldn't have had. So now he gets 2 points, so it's even.
Now Elton dumps to Nate James. Rebound Duke. Brand rejected by Alvin Jones. Loose ball. They fight for it. Duke wins the battle. Maggette runs over Babel. Collier the rebound. And Maggette in there, and they call a jump. Tech's not backing down, Dan, but boy, Duke is relentless.
Duke really is relentless. Gives you some idea of the strength of Jason Collier. He just, as he scraps after the ball, Alvin Jones blocks it. Ball on the court. Watch Jones get down and try to get it. Nate James somehow controls it out of there. Gets it into Maggette. Babel tries to draw the charge. Now watch Collier as he throws Maggette. Right at the end, they're struggling for the ball, and down goes Maggette, and out goes the ball, and Georgia Tech keeps it based on the possession error.
Mike Krzyzewski asking whether they should have gone to the arrow, or was there a possession first
Tech got the tip
before the held ball.
But they got the jump ball. They got it out of bounds. Let me explain it.
I think what Mike Krzyzewski is talking about is the last time that they went to the possession arrow. I think he is saying that that should have been Duke's ball on the new rule. In other words, the last time it should not. He's arguing that it should not have been a simultaneous possession. He's arguing that the arrow should not have changed and it still should be Duke's ball. But clearly, that's not what the officials called before.
Babel deflected by Battie into the hands of Nate James. Nate down the lane. And it's out of bounds to Georgia Tech.
They've got 12 points in the lane area compared to just 2 for Georgia Tech. So certainly not intimidated at all by the Georgia Tech size in the middle. But this is where Georgia Tech has struggled on the offensive end. They've got to get some consistency on this end of the court.
TJ Vines to Collier. Whips it inside to Alvin Jones. Oh! That ball was going to die of exhaustion on the rim.
And that's one, obviously, that Georgia Tech needs to have. When you get the ball in there, your big guy has to convert.
Brand blocked by Jones. That's his second block of the game. Collier with the outlet pass to Akins.
Georgia Tech with a 3-guard lineup, very small except for those 2 big guys in the middle. See, now Jones can't wait that long.
Alvin to LeBerry, and Darrell knocks in a 3.
Bob, LeBerry passed the ball inside and then slid to the corner.
Turnover for Duke. Tech coming back down 6. Akins through the hands of Collier, but into the hands of LeBerry. Jason turns, fires, misses. And the native of Augusta, William Avery, with the rebound. Langdon for 3.
Boy, that was a great block out by Collier to keep Battie away from the boards. There's a couple of guys out here who look tired right at the moment, Bob. This has really been an up and down game.
Vines misfires. Avery another rebound.
That's the kind of a look I think that's got to go down for Georgia Tech if they're going to win today.
Avery a little short, out of bounds to Tech.
To Collier and to Jones.
We'll see how they run this possession, Mike. Thanks. Here's Vines. to the corner, and LeBerry, an open look. You don't get many of those against Duke.
Boy, that was a great block out by Avery, keeping Babel away from the ball. You're right, LeBerry did have all day to shoot that one. I think that he was actually a little flustered that he had so much time.
Battie to Domzowski, around Jones, and Alvin with the foul. And the first free throws in conference play for Domzowski this season. His third point of the game makes it 18-11 Blue Devils. Duke riding a 17-game winning streak. The 86 team that went to the national championship game won 21 in a row. Last time Duke's had a winning streak this long. Another offensive rebound for the Blue Devils. And it is going to be Vines scrapping with Avery, out of bounds to Tech.
Very strong at 5 feet 10, is able to get the ball.
LeBerry to the middle and Vines. Alvin Jones up top. Here's Jason Floyd spinning it in.
Bob, and that's what we're talking about. Alvin Jones didn't hold the ball at all. He caught it and released it to the open man. That is an excellent play.
And Jason Floyd, and you mentioned how well he shoots the ball in this building. Carrawell back iron, and a rebound foul on
It's going to be
Georgia
on
Tech.
Jason Floyd. And I think it helps get his team into the game as well. It also spreads the defense. You've got to pay more attention to him. And there we're going to get a foul on Vines trying to stay with Langdon.
Carrawell triggers. Tipped away by Alvin Jones and taken away by LeBerry. Georgia Tech is at 4 3-pointers in the game. And they've closed the Duke lead to 4, 18 points.
Oh, great pass.
And Alvin Jones commits an offensive foul. That works out to about 1 a game. He had 2 the other night against Maryland. Amazing defender.
Subject your body to some punishment when you do that.
Oh, you saying that. Here's Carrawell for 3. Chris with his first field goal. He's been in double figures in 5 straight games. And his reputation as a defensive lockup man has been well established. Akins. Floyd out of the corner, had to change his shot because of Nate James. Now LeBerry, he had to change his shot because of Carrawell.
Well, they only have 16 seconds to change your shoot.
Langdon brings it down. Looks for an opening, stumbles, gives to Carrawell. Loose ball, Babel plays it ahead to Akins. Battie with the push. The lefty from Lilburn puts it in.
Bob, and these are opportunities, obviously, that if you're going to spring the upset against Duke, you're going to have to convert. Akins has had a solid year for Georgia Tech at the point guard.
His second point of the game. The Duke lead has been trimmed to 5. 7:48 left in the first half. But they've done a great job to really weather the storm, as you said, Dan, and stay in this game.
They have not rebounded the ball very well, though, Bob. Duke with 9 offensive rebounds.
They get one here, and Tech is running. Akins to LeBerry.
Bob, those are the kind of baskets we talked about before the game. You don't want to give up easy baskets, but you want to get as many as possible.
The Duke lead is 3. Maggette down in a heap. Loose ball. Babel scrapping. Maggette got rid of it.
Boy, that was a great play by Maggette to get rid of the ball.
White shirts all around him. And a half a dozen arms. Tipped away and stolen by Babel. A 3-pointer ties the game. Floyd for 2. And Avery the rebound.
Bob, he never got himself squared to the basket. He was falling away, and then his body turned sideways.
James, the left-hand runner.
And that's what Duke does to you, Bob. You go down and you miss an easy opportunity, and right away they're back on you and converting.
Akins driving. Floats it up and in.
And that's, Bob, when he drives into the lane, that's the first time that he's really driven into the lane and shot the ball, and Duke is playing him to pass. When he beats somebody out on the perimeter, if he has the opportunity, he's got to take it all the way, and he did so that time.
Maggette for 3. good. The freshman from Illinois showing a great stroke on that three-pointer. 26-20.
That was a good pass by Brand. He draws the defense, and then he's able to get the ball outside for the easy three-point basket.
LeBerry taken away by Maggette, and with the elbow levels Babel, and that's a foul. And John has to come out of the game.
Well, he didn't get it in the chin, Bob. He got it more in the Adam's apple,
yep.
And that's smart.
Collier with the stop. 26-22. Elton Brand. And Floyd was the man who blocked that one into the hands of T.J. Vine.
Bob, that was a pass attempt.
Akins dumps it low. Good overplay by Maggette and rolls out of bounds. I'll tell you this, Dan. When you get beat like Georgia Tech got beat at Cameron by 41, you're going to come into a game like this with some trepidation. And it looked early that Duke was going to blow them out again. But this Georgia Tech team has found some courage to play this first half, and it's gotten them back in the game. They throw it away here.
Alvin Jones was looking for a white shirt, but unfortunately the white shirt he found was a gentleman sitting in the front row.
He was open.
He was open. Nobody was guarding him.
9 turnovers, but most of those came early in the game. 26-22 Duke.
Georgia Tech has really turned it up on the defensive end, Bob. They are not playing with any hesitation out there defensively. I think they're going to get Domzalski.
1-1 for Alvin Jones. And another missed opportunity for Tech. Avery.
Oh, what a pass.
Nate James. A little short. Maggette powers up and scores.
Alvin Jones forced Duke to work a little harder than they would have preferred to get that basket, but Maggette making an outstanding play to get it up and underneath Alvin Jones.
Floyd, short on the wing three, dives in, and from his knees to Vines to Jones, who rears up and stuffs it. But that started with Floyd's hustle after the miss.
Mike Krzyzewski thought that Floyd fouled diving on the floor.
28-24, Maggette wide with the three.
And I think they're going to get Domzalski again.
The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Ray Cobb and Jefferson Pilot Sports, and the use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited.
Bob, it's interesting, on the season, Burgess almost twice as many minutes. In fact, more than twice as many minutes as Taman Domzalski, but in this game, Domzalski going into the game earlier. The upper spot in the rotation, I guess you would say, over Chris Burgess.
Collier had 23 at Duke. He has 9 in the first half today. 28-26, and John Babel okay back in the game after getting that Maggette elbow in the throat.
And Bobby Cremins has done a nice job in the first half with his substitutions. As deep as the Blue Devils are, you've got to be careful that you don't allow them to wear you down by keeping your guys in the game too long while you're trying to play them. Got to substitute and have your guys off the bench play effectively.
Langdon, jump stop, short. Maggette reached back to try to slam it home. Couldn't totally control it. We've got a timeout on the floor. 3:45 remaining in the first half. Jason Floyd getting a Tech 2-point surge started.
Shooting only 1 for 6 with 2 points. Langdon 2 for 5. He's only got 4 points. William Avery only 1 for 4. He's only got 3 points. So Georgia Tech has limited the big three.
Here's Jones. Got it! And a foul on Burgess. That time he made his move quickly, and things went well for him.
Sits right up and draws the foul.
Misses the free throw that would have given Tech the lead. The game tied at 28. Duke led 11-2, but Tech has gotten back in it. And the Devils have a battle in their hands in Georgia. Maggette tipped out of bounds by Babel.
Alvin Jones does a great job getting position. Watch how deeply into the lane he catches that ball. He is right next to the basket. That man is 6'11". You can't let a 6'11" guy catch the ball that close to the goal.
And a blocking foul on Babel.
Maggetti's got 5 points, has 6 rebounds, and he's just a tough matchup out there for Babel.
Tipped deep, and Avery's going to go back and get it.
Georgia Tech matches up in the man-to-man.
Avery, stop and pop for 2.
Bob, that's why he's so tough. He doesn't have to take it all the way to the basket. His game is not just the three-point shot or take it to the basket. He can hit that mid-range shot very effectively.
Collier to Jason Floyd, into Babel, back to Collier. The jumper, no good. Offensive rebound, Vines to Floyd for 3. Jason Floyd, second three-pointer, puts Georgia Tech on top. Maggetti coming right back. Saved by Akins. Tech coming the other way. Vines spots up for 3. Rebound, Babel got a hand on it. Long board. Vines scraps for it. Babel scraps for it. Floyd reverses. DJ Vines coming to help. Fouls Chris Burgess.
Bob, he didn't get there quite in time. You like your guard to get there while the big guy is dribbling the ball. It's not often that the officials will let you take it out of the hands of a big guy that's got the ball. Jason Floyd starts all this with the blocked shot. Babel does a great job trying to take the charge. Then Vines fighting. That's the second play like that we've seen from Georgia Tech. Gets it to Floyd to finish off the basket.
Chris Burgess misses the front end. A 50% foul shooter this year. Tech by 3.
Bob, and Duke has not spent very much time trailing this season.
But they're down 6. Collier hits his second 3.
Bob, in fact, coming into this game, they've only trailed throughout the season in about 16 and a half minutes total. They've only been behind at halftime once.
And that was the game they lost to Cincinnati. Burgess with the stuff and the foul on Collier.
It's excellent offensive execution by Duke.
36-32 Georgia Tech. And here's Burgess. And he's missed his 2 free throw opportunities in the game. Collier. Georgia Tech keeps up the attack. LeBerry shut off this time. Collier trying to go into Babel. Now puts it on the floor, and we've got a hold on Burgess.
Bob, one of the things that you have to be careful about when you're trying to pressure the ball on the perimeter is you have to be aware of when the offensive player has his dribble and when he does not. Chris Burgess that time got right up against Jason Collier, and I think forgot that Collier could still dribble the ball, so when Collier put it on the deck and started to go around, he stuck his hands out and grabbed it.
Jason missing the first of 2. That's 10 team fouls on Duke. Neither team doing a good job at the line.
But Georgia Tech only 4 for 10.
4 for 11. But they win this offensive rebound.
Now, how did he get the ball? LeBerry doing a great job in there against the bigger guys.
LeBerry back to Collier for 3.
Bob, that's where they've done pretty well. They haven't hit the free throws very effectively, but they've been outstanding from behind the three-point line.
They've hit 7 threes and 4 free throws. And Vines with the foul, and that's his 3rd.
That's what happened right there.
And Langdon. Oh, you know something's up. He has slipped, by the way, to second behind Donald Hand of Virginia.
Well,
it's hard. Free throw shooting.
It's hard to maintain first place in the free throw shooting when Hand makes everyone he shoots. That young man's having an outstanding year.
And that one got every inch of iron available before dropping in. 39-33. Final seconds of the first half. Akins And Avery riding him. Picks up the foul. His second. That'll send Tony Akins to the line to shoot a pair.
One of the things about Jason Collier is his ability to set up on the inside. You have to respect that. But there's LeBerry with the penetration, and he finds Collier slipping outside. And I'll tell you what, Bob, Collier made that shot, but the guy who created the opportunity was LeBerry. And LeBerry has been fearless today, trying to beat the Duke guys off the dribble.
5 points for Tony Akins.
There's LeBerry talking with Bobby Cremins over on the sideline. He has been an important factor. This Duke defense, if you don't attack it, they will shut off everything you're trying to do on offense. And Georgia Tech, after that first slow run they had early in the game, has done a great job attacking the Duke defense.
Jackets living outside, and they've taken a 7-point lead. Shot clock just ahead of the game clock. Game clock there on the right. Akins doesn't have to worry about the 5-second count quite yet. Not enough pressure from James. Here's LeBerry. On with this one. Carrawell the rebound. Duke will have the opportunity before the end of the half, and Langdon calls the play.
I think if you're Georgia Tech, what you want to do right here is play good defense, but not get one of your key guys a foul.
Langdon puts it up and in. Trajan was 7, 40-35, and the first half comes to an end. 5-point lead for Georgia Tech as we get ready to play the second half here at Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Jason Collier led the way for Georgia Tech in that first half with 15 points. He hit 3 threes. Trajan Langdon, the high man for Duke, was 7. Second half, and Duke basketball.
Bob, and one of the problems for Duke in the first half was that Shane Battie, trying to guard Jason Collier, picked up 2 early fouls and had to leave the game, and then Duke just had all kinds of trouble trying to defend against Georgia Tech's big guy.
Langdon faking. Here's Battie. To Avery for 3. Battie the offensive rebound. Duke's 13th of the game. Avery baseline.
Stepped on the line.
Out of bounds. Yes, indeed. 19:30 left in the game. The Duke Blue Devils poised to take over the #1 spot in the country. But when you go on the road in the ACC.
Bob, there has been some interesting things happen this week.
Akins off the window.
Bob, that's what that young man has to do. The Duke defense is playing him, it appears, to pass the ball, and that's twice now that he's beat his guy out on the perimeter and gone all the way to the basket.
And a big 3 for William Avery. His first 3-pointer of the game. 42-38.
And that's been one of the keys to the Georgia Tech success, Bob, is the big 3. Avery and Brand and Langdon just have not had huge games thus far.
Early in the season, against non-conference foes, Akins was that aggressive player you saw a moment ago. Then when the competition stiffened and Collier hits another 3.
Bob, they really ought to consider guarding him.
He got his ears pinned back a little bit, lost some confidence, but boy, he's playing with confidence today. Inside Battie. Jones rejects it.
Boy, what a great block by Alvin Jones. He does a super job not picking up the foul. Battie went into him, but Jones kept his hands up in the air and just knocked it away.
Avery missed it. Rebound Collier.
That was a great block out by Alvin Jones to leave the ball all alone for Collier.
Yeah, he got Battie out of the way. John Babel gets it into Alvin. And Babel reverses and scores.
Bob,
move on the baseline.
As opposed to early in the game when the Georgia Tech's throwing it inside to their big guys, they're not standing. Babel threw it inside, cut to the basket, got an easy one.
47-38 Georgia Tech. Outside Langdon, good. He bangs home a deep 3.
And keep in mind that Duke is the kind of team, if you're going to shut them off on the inside, they have the ability to take it outside.
Akins. Some daylight. And Brand with the block shot. Carrawell comes up with a loose ball and running it hard to Collier. Well, the scrap is on.
That is
How many players are on the deck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ball belongs to Tech.
And I believe, Bob, they've ruled it belongs to Georgia Tech because they tied up the guy with the ball, so the arrow isn't going to change. Carrawell, watch Carrawell turn Collier around a couple of times, but Collier finally gets his feet set. That is outstanding transition defense, and then we're going down on the floor after the ball. But Collier does a great job to get back, make the shot tough without fouling. No, they've switched the possession arrow, Bob, so I was incorrect in that. I thought they gave the signal that it was a tie-up that was initiated by the defense, but it was the possession arrow.
Floyd.
Boy, that's a tough shot.
Tech gets another crack at it, though. Here's Akins. Inside to Jones. Down the lane to the cutting Jason Floyd. He'll shoot 2. And again, Tech throws it in the post, slash to the basket. Second foul on Elton Brand. And Floyd, a 79% foul shooter, hits it.
Bob, now keep in mind that Georgia Tech turned the ball over 6 of the first 7 times they had it, but they've only got 9 turnovers in the game right now, so that has been a critical stat as well. Georgia Tech simply not turning the ball over. They're converting their possessions.
49-41, Georgia Tech. Langdon. Jones the rebound.
Bob, I think Duke needs to put the ball in Brand's hands a little bit more on the inside.
Floyd explodes to the bucket. Georgia Tech has its biggest lead.
Now, you would not have convinced me that this was going to happen.
Boy, Elton Brand begging for it in the post.
Well, I think he's got to have it in there. They've got to challenge Alvin Jones inside. Jones has 2 personal fouls.
And he knocks this one away and picks up foul number 3. 68% are at the line this season. His 3rd point of the game. Let's take a look at that last block and foul by Jones.
Jones gets in there and he's going to challenge him, and you know that he's going to challenge him, and so it's a good idea to take it right at him.
Shane Battie calmly puts in the 2 free throws to cut the Tech lead to 8. Georgia Tech is 1-5 against ranked teams this season. Their victory, the North Carolina Tar Heels in this building back in December. They've got Duke by 8 early in the second half.
Boy, Bob, and you've got to be impressed with the job that Akins has done handling the basketball against intense pressure. I think they just got a foul inside on Langdon.
His first. 15:54 left. 51-43 Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech with the surprising lead, and Tony Akins has been a big factor. Not being intimidated by the Duke defense, drives right past Avery on the perimeter, recognizes that nobody's going to stop him, takes it all the way to the basket.
When you are a point guard at Georgia Tech, you've got a legacy to uphold. And boy, I think fellows like Best and Marbury and Anderson would be smiling based on the performance of Akins.
And he walked, did Collier, along the baseline. This is a very critical stretch for Georgia Tech. That's their 10th turnover, but again, not very many since early in the game. I think that Duke really ought to try to put the ball in the hands of Elton Brand and see if they can't get that forced foul on Jones.
Was thinking right along with you, Dan. He steps in and picks off the pass intended for Brand. The riser, short. 51-43 Tech. Avery floats it up and in.
Boy, that's a tough shot with Alvin Jones coming right at you.
Double figures for Avery, 51-45.
Avery working pretty hard trying to keep the ball out of the hands of Tony Akins, but Akins, on the other hand, has done a nice job getting back to the ball.
Intercepted by Carrawell.
Bob, and that just hasn't happened today. That is with the steal by Duke and running it down and turning it into a basket, and that's why Georgia Tech has had some success. But now Duke's making a little run at them. Can the Yellow Jackets withstand?
Jason Floyd. An aggressive move, but he missed the shot. Tip no good. Collier. Yes. Jason Collier with 20.
And he has just worn out Shane Battie. Battie, one of the outstanding defenders in this league, but he has not had the answer for Jason Collier today.
Elton Brand, only 2 points in the game and 1 of 6. That changes on that turnaround.
Well, they've got to take the ball there. Alvin Jones has 3 fouls and is going to play a little bit more cautiously.
53-49 Tech. 14-minute mark of the second half. Into Jones. Going to try it himself.
Elton Brand can block some shots too.
Yes, he can. And the big man can run. Going in on Collier to the basket, and he'll shoot 2.
Georgia Tech has done a great job, as you can see, against Elton Brand. But with Jones with those 3 personal fouls, I think Georgia Tech got a little less aggressive trying to protect Alvin Jones. And Bobby Cremins needs his Yellow Jackets to be aggressive, although Babel just stepped in and violated. So Brand will get another free throw opportunity.
You just can't take your foot off the gas pedal against Duke.
Oh, what a rebound.
Boy, Floyd skies to claim it. 53-49.
Duke now a mere 5 of 13 from the free throw line.
Finds. Babel reaches in to get it.
Oh.
Taken away by Avery. 3-on-2. Avery shovels and throws it away.
That's a break for Georgia Tech. Mike Krzyzewski knows it. You know, John Babel made a mistake right there. He's 6'7". He's underneath the basket, and he passes it to Darryl LeBerry, who's 6'3", and knows that he shouldn't be underneath the basket.
But Duke let him off the hook. 53-49, Yellow Jackets. 13-10 left. 11 turnovers now for Duke. Collier into Babel.
He just lost the ball going up.
And it's out of bounds to the Blue Devils. 13:04 left. Carrawell comes back in.
And I think, again, we're in a stretch here for Georgia Tech, Bob, with Alvin Jones on the bench, with Duke making a little run at him. Georgia Tech has had some success on the inside, and with Jones on the bench, I think that John Babel is going to have to score when he gets opportunities such as the one he just had. Brand is telling him, give me the ball. It's not a bad idea.
Instead, it's Avery outside. He missed the 3, but comes up with the ball off the hands of Floyd, but he travels with it. Elton Brand is sitting in the post. He's just screaming at his teammates for the ball. And he's talking it over with Nate James. 12:42 left.
Avery with 6 turnovers in the game. And Duke, as you look at them, Bob, they really have abandoned their inside offense. Everything is out on the perimeter.
Collier, tough shot. Jones back in, has it, trying to go up against the defense and gets the foul called against Elton Brand, his 3rd.
To do that with those guys banging you on the inside.
Jones with his 5th point, his first success at the line after 0 for 2. Battie and Langdon come in for Brand and Avery. So now McGetty with 3 fouls. He stays in. Brand gets a breather. And Jones puts it in.
Boy, and Battie and Collier getting tangled up. That has been an interesting matchup all day long.
Carrawell on the wing. Carrawell gets it back. Jones got a hand on the pass. McGetty out to Langdon. McGetty. Rebound Carrawell. LeBerry took it out of bounds. Duke ball. Georgia Tech 55. Second-ranked Duke 49.
Bob, and the Blue Devils have trailed for 10 minutes and 40 seconds of this game, and in their 10 prior ACC games, they only trailed for a total of 16 minutes, and there's a travel by McGetty. Of course, they haven't trailed at the end of those games, and that's the key number. They're 10-0 in ACC play.
Maryland now with a 15-point lead over the Cavaliers. Second half at Cole Fieldhouse. A couple of wet spots on the floor. Carl Hess Instructing the ball boy to mop it up in the proper spot, and now Darryl LeBerry to put it in.
And Duke actually playing a fairly small lineup with Elton Brand on the bench. Burgess is also on the bench, so is Domzalski. And so we'll see if Georgia Tech tries to take advantage of that by going inside.
Collier. Boy, that's a nice move right there, folks. That's a big league move in the post.
That is a big time move. You're absolutely right, Bob. Lean one way, come back the other.
James misses the three. Board to LeBerry. Tech with a 3-on-2. Vines drives in, gives it up to LeBerry. Missed the shot. It's out of bounds to Georgia Tech.
Collier again. Now he's being guarded by the smaller man, Maggetti. Maggetti goes for that fake, and then Collier comes back with the left hand. Of course, Jason is left-handed, but Maggetti's only about 6'6" or so. That's a tough thing to ask him to do, is to guard Collier on the inside. That is not a good shot by Jason Floyd. Good defense by Chris Carrawell.
8-point Georgia Tech lead. 11:05 left. Langdon for three. Got it. Trajan Langdon with 13. That's his second three, both in the second half. That's his 76th three-pointer this year. Ties Chris Collins and Bobby Hurley for 6th in single-season highs for Duke. Collier tried to wrap it around to Jones. It's out of bounds.
Well, Jones was completely blocked off, Bob, and never saw that pass coming. And you notice the defensive change that Duke made on that trip down the court. Now it's Brand trying to guard Collier. Jones never saw the ball until it was right on top of him.
William.
6 turnover charge to Alvin Jones.
William Avery finds Langdon, and that stroke is back. Langdon has struggled a bit in the last half a dozen games. All Duke victories, we might point out, but now Bobby Cremins, as his ball club's lead has been trimmed to 3. Well, you have to wonder, Dan, about the fatigue. 10-20 left in the ball game. Vines to Babel. Around the perimeter to LeBerry.
Man-to-man for Duke.
The shot clock hits 10. Vines gets rid of it to LeBerry. 7 to shoot. 6. LeBerry working on Carrawell. Got the fake, got the shot.
Boy, that is a tough shot by Darryl LeBerry. And hasn't he played well this afternoon?
Boy, he took a great defender and got him right out of the way with a great fake.
Just wore him out.
Langdon, good again. The Alaska Assassin is back. His third three of the second half. 59-57, Georgia Tech.
Duke stays in the man-to-man.
Vines penetrates to Babel. And touched by Brand, then hit the support out of bounds.
Duke's defense reacting very well that time, stopping the penetration and then going to find the guy who gets the ball.
Battie knocks it out of bounds. 20 seconds on the shot clock for Georgia Tech.
And again, Bob, keep in mind the intensity with which Georgia Tech has had to play in this game thus far to build the lead and now trying to maintain the lead. Keep in mind the fact that they only go 6 or 7 deep, and Duke has been running guys in and out the entire game.
Jones, and a foul before the dunk.
That foul will be on Brand.
Number 3 on Elton.
Boy, that was just a good, quick move by Alvin Jones. Brand is actually going to try to go for the ball here. Well, no, he doesn't. I mean, he got himself way out of position there, just standing against the back of Alvin Jones, leaning up against him.
Carrawell had the steal, but was out of bounds.
Well, I think he knocked the ball out of bounds on the steal, Bob. He's not allowed to reach out of bounds and grab the ball. That would be a technical foul, but the ball came in and he batted it down and batted it out of bounds.
Babel can't hang on to it. Now Duke gets it with 9:09 left. Bobby Cremins and his Yellow Jackets have been through so much this season. And LeBerry with a pickoff. Takes it to the rim. And it's rejected by Carrawell and Avery.
Bob, that was not a good decision to take it in 1-on-2. You can understand the young man's enthusiasm.
Elton Brand, up and in. His third basket of the game.
Bob,
ties it at 59.
And Georgia Tech's just got to get that intensity back. Got 8 minutes and 33 seconds to go for a tremendous upset. You just got to forget how tired you are and go after it.
That's where the crowd can give you a big adrenaline boost. Knocked away by Avery and out of bounds.
But if they're going to play you tight out on the perimeter, Georgia Tech's got to be willing to go by as they were in the first half.
Long deep three for Akins. Floyd the offensive rebound. Georgia Tech trying to quell a 10-2 Duke run. Jones and the foul.
Really giving him everything he's got with the body, but Jones is able to maintain his position and get it up on the board, and Georgia Tech really needed that one.
Jones missing the free throw, and Carrawell the rebound. Brand and Jones each playing with 3 personals. Elton has come out of the game in favor of Domzowski.
Georgia Tech in the man-to-man.
And a push against Tech. Collier, his third.
But I tell you what, when Langdon's hitting from the outside, as he has been in this half, Bob, it makes the defense a little more aware of the perimeter game, and so your guys inside have some room.
And Avery shooting it well from the perimeter. His second 3 of the second half. And 13 points in the game. Duke back in front, 62-61. First lead for the Devils since late in the first half. Collier gathers, gives to Akins. And we've got a foul called on Duke.
It's on Domzowski, knocked down Alvin.
And Georgia Tech sets it up. Tony Akins calls the play. Duke by 1. 7:16 left in the game. Jones.
Boy, that's great defense by Brand. Just an outstanding job by Elton Brand. Had him one-on-one. Forced him into the tough shot.
Avery, no good this time. Floyd the rebound. Again, the Yellow Jackets bid for the lead. Collier in on Battie. Up and off and a foul on Shane. Boy, Battie has really had his hands full trying to stay with Collier. Collier softly through 23, matching his output at Duke. His season high 25 here against Clemson a few days ago. Carrawell out in favor of Nate James. Georgia Tech getting the free throw from Collier. They're now 11 of 20. We'd have told you before the game that Tech would shoot free throws better today than Duke. What would you have said?
Well, you'd have believed it, but if Tech was shooting 11 of 20 and that was better than Duke, you'd have had a hard time.
And a 3 for Langdon. My goodness. 65-63 Duke. Collier. Back irons, rebound to Brand, Duke running.
That was good defense by Battie. Didn't try to block the shot, Bob, just held Collier out a little further than Collier wanted to go. And now we're going to get the foul on Collier on the inside. Home games.
Elton Brand, up and in. Elton with 8.
Got a danger point here for Georgia Tech, Bob. Duke has done a great job battling back in the game and taking the lead, and now Georgia Tech is going to have to tough it out and hang in this ball game.
And Brand picks up his 4th. 4 blocks, 5 rebounds, 8 points for Alvin.
These are some big free throws. Georgia Tech has been struggling to score the last few minutes. Duke's defense has done a nice job denying Georgia Tech the early penetration that they got in the first half.
Got them both. Double figures for Jones.
Now
Duke
Georgia Tech looking for a defensive stop, Bob. They need to turn up the pressure on defense.
Duke goes to Elton Brand, and a blocking foul on Alvin Jones, number 4. Alvin Jones having a couple of comments for Bob Donato as he takes his spot on the lane. Now Brand to the line. He's 0 for 2 at the line today. Make it 0 for 3.
Well, Bob, you can sure understand why Alvin Jones and the folks from Georgia Tech would not be pleased with that call. It's one of those things that might be critical in the game. If that goes the other way, this guy, Elton Brand, at the free throw line is out of the game.
More arc on that one, and he gets it to go down. 9 for Brand. 68-65 Duke, 5:35 left.
Well, half successful on the possession. Duke only got 1 point. Georgia Tech needs to get 2, and there they got it. And they go right at Elton Brand. Excellent maneuver.
Tech went 4 minutes and 30 seconds without a field goal before that one from Alvin Jones. 1 point Duke lead.
Let's see if Duke returns the favor and goes at Brand. Boy, Akins is matched up inside against Battie, who's trying to set the mismatch up so he can get the ball on the interior.
And Akins comes to try to dig the ball out of the post. Avery, a huge three.
Now
William Avery makes it 71-67.
Bob, if you're going to double team, somebody's going to be open, and it was Avery, and you're right. He made him pay. Collier and Jones asking for the ball inside.
And Brand is matched up with Collier off the hands of Floyd. Duke running with the turnover.
Brand is alone.
Oh, and they spotted him, and the dunk is good. Timeout, Georgia Tech. 73-67 Duke. They've worked so hard, and boy, the air seemed to go out on that dunk. But they have some time left, 4:20, and the three-point weapon, which has served them well this afternoon.
Bob, it served them well in the first half, but Duke has shut that off in the second half.
Collier above the ring, and a bad pass inside. Battie in front of Jones to pick it off.
And so now Duke going to spread it out a little bit, see if they can't get some isolations. That looking for Trajan Langdon.
Trajan. Collier blocks it. Jones rebounds. Big outlet for Babel. Runs it down, gives it to Collier inside to Floyd. Jason up and good.
Boy, that is an unbelievably tough pass. Collier didn't do Floyd any favors throwing the ball in traffic. Great catch, great shot.
Avery goes to the corner, now inside to Brand, around Jones, and he puts it in. 13 for Elton Brand, 75-69.
And Brand in the last few minutes has become a huge factor in the game for Duke. They've had a tough time scoring on the perimeter, but they've been able to rely on him inside.
Collier with the hook.
That's a tough shot. Very, very difficult shot. And look at this.
Elton Brand sprints out and dunks it.
He appears to have something left.
Boy, you got that right. 77-69 Duke. An 8-point lead for Georgia Tech with 2:43 and counting.
There, Carrawell's going to pick up the foul against Floyd. But this is just outstanding defense by Duke, Bob. Great job preventing the Georgia Tech penetration, preventing those three-point baskets in the second half, and has allowed the Duke offense to just tough its way back in this game.
77-70. And Floyd now with 16. 6-point, 2-possession game.
Need a stop, does Georgia Tech, and the fans are going to try to help him out.
Duke playing keep away, Carrawell.
Well, Bob, this is a situation where you want to play good defense without fouling. You don't want to foul now that the shot clock only has 15 seconds left.
Brand gets it out of the post. Langdon to Carrawell. To Avery. Loads up. Deflecting it is Jones. The rebound. The scramble is on. Brand again inside.
Boy, that is a tough break for Georgia Tech. Everybody was battling for the rebounding position, and I don't think anybody knew that Collier had blocked the shot. That's really a tough move for Georgia Tech, but great job by Duke to just stick with it until they scored the basket.
Well, that shot clock was down to about 7. Poke away by Brand. Here comes Carrawell, and he's fouled by Vines. Our MVPs today, Trajan Langdon got him going, but Elton Brand sealed the deal with 17 points. And for Elton, 15 of the 17 in the second half. Jason Collier, his second highest point total of the season with the 24 and still a minute 39 left in this game.
Bob, it's interesting. Duke's big three, Brand, Avery, and Langdon. In the first half, they scored a total of 14 points. In this second half, those three young men have combined for 43 points. And you have to say that William Avery has made some big shots in this half when Elton Brand got their attention down inside and Georgia Tech tried to double team, pitching it out to Avery for the 3. And Duke's offense really got a jump start from Trajan Langdon, who hit some perimeter shots and helped stretch that defense to create the room inside for Elton Brand.
Carrawell short with the free throw. Duke, the second leading foul shooting team in the Atlantic Coast Conference, but not today. They are 6 of 15 at the foul line.
That's something they're going to have to look at a little bit. That has allowed Georgia Tech to stay in this game as they miss again, but they get the rebound. My goodness.
Langdon and Avery out front.
Bob, that was such a bad miss. It went so far outside that Georgia Tech is crashing into the interior to try to get the ball. Just not in any kind of position to get that one.
And the foul on Floyd. Jason's third with 1:19 left.
Georgia Tech foul number 34.
For Bobby Cremins and his Yellow Jackets, what you're left with right now, Bob, is unless you can steal the ball immediately, you're going to have to foul, put Duke on the line, hope that they miss, or that you can trade 3 for 2 because you do not have a lot of time here.
A 1-and-1 for Carrawell. This one he puts in.
Duke now 7 of 17 from the free throw line.
Duke early in the second half trailed by 10. They now can take a 10-point lead. And it just underscores, Dan, the lightning-like swiftness with which Duke can score points.
Bob, they can score points with lightning-like swiftness. That's hard to say. But in this game, they have done it in very workmanlike fashion. They have just hung in there. It's been a very tough battle for the Duke Blue Devils, but their offensive consistency and the number of weapons that they can get you with have really been in very sharp relief today. They've come at Bobby Cremins' team from all sorts of angles.
Avery and Langdon outside, 7 threes between them in the second half. You're looking at the standings in the decade of the 90s, and Duke neck and neck with North Carolina atop the heap.
And that does not include the results of today's game.
A Duke program that, after victory today, and there are 71 seconds away from that, will propel them to #1 in the country. Most feel. Connecticut has a tough road game at Stanford later today. Cincinnati's at DePaul this weekend. But Duke bidding for its 18th consecutive victory and its 8th straight ACC road victory. And that is remarkable in this conference. Talked about Elton Brand, our Advanced Auto Parts play of the game.
When we look at our play of the game, we actually have plays of the game as Elton Brand runs down the court. Nobody sees him. You wonder how somebody that big can be that open, but it's just good hustle by Elton Brand. And then here again, he's just around the basket as Duke comes up with the ball. And I tell you what, Bob, Duke went into that locker room at halftime, and whatever Mike Krzyzewski said or did, Duke came out in the second half, and they really turned this thing around defensively. In the first half, Georgia Tech was doing a great job putting the ball on the court, penetrating past the Duke defense, either going all the way to the basket or pitching it back out for open three-point baskets, and that did not happen in the second half. Duke's defense kept Georgia Tech out on the perimeter. Their penetration was the passes inside to the big guys. But Duke was able to handle that much better than they were able to handle what Georgia Tech was doing in the first half. So Duke's offense, again, looks very impressive, but I think their defense really turned this game around.
And a foul on TJ Vines. He fouls out of the game.
Georgia Tech foul on number 10.
Duke returns to action on Thursday at Virginia. They have Wake Forest next weekend. As you take a look at their next 6 games, they step out of league play to go to Chicago and meet DePaul before wrapping things up at North Carolina.
Bob, and despite what people have said about this year's ACC, you hear a lot of people say, well, the league is down this year. But here's Mike Krzyzewski with clearly, if not the #1 team, and they are going to be after the polls come out, but one of the country's dominant basketball teams, going to a place where you figure, okay, they ought to have an easy win today because Georgia Tech, they've been blown out a couple of times, and they're only sitting at 4-6 in the conference. But here they come in here, and they've got to fight for their lives. This is a solid league once again this year. And again, this is one of the country's dominant teams, and they're going to be very fortunate to get out of here with a win today.
82-73 Duke, under a minute to play.
When you go on the road in this league, there's no game that's an easy game.
And this one is good. 6 for Battie. 10-point Duke lead.
1 minute.
Akins for 3. Alvin Jones gets it out to Collier. Tony fires, hits. That's a 3. 83-76. Langdon fouled by Akins.
Bob, that's a great job by Langdon to not get fouled as soon as he caught the ball in the backcourt. Now Georgia Tech is in a very tough position. This is going to move the Yellow Jackets to 4-7 in the ACC. You see that their schedule, they've got to go to Florida State, then they've got to play at Louisville. And as when you're talking about the NCAA tournament, Louisville now has some incentive since they're going to be able to go to the NCAA tournament. They've got to play at Wake Forest, and Maryland knows how difficult that is to play at Wake Forest. And then the Maryland Terrapins, a top 10 team, are going to come in here. A very, very difficult schedule for Georgia Tech the rest of the way.
Trajan Langdon cashing in both free throws, 85-76. Collier picks it up to midcourt and Floyd. Jason missing the 3. Jones the rebound.
Looking for threes now.
Akins misses it. And the ball out of bounds. I think we'd be remiss, Dan, if we did not congratulate Georgia Tech today on an outstanding effort. This ball club has been through it all this season. And yet they came today a big underdog at home. And yet they had a 10-point lead in the second half.
This was a team for Bobby Cremins that had some real high expectations before the season started, but when Deion Glover went down with the injury, and there's a 3-point basket, you look at all the new faces they have and all the young people they're trying to play, and you can understand why the expectations were lower. And I think this is a team that has played in excess of expectations. And there you get a look at Glover sitting on the bench. What would this team be with Deion Glover is the question that has to run through your mind, particularly now that Jason Collier has joined the team. But this is a team that has a lot of different guys playing in a lot of different places, and with their youth and inexperience, you expect them to be up and down, and they've been really up and down. But this is a team that shows you that they're capable of playing with the best. Unfortunately, not for 40 minutes, but that will come.
William Avery returning to Georgia from West Side High in Augusta. Bids for his 18th point. And he's got it. 87-79 Duke.
He scored 52 points in the second half, Bob.
And they're going to go back to Durham with a victory. 18 in a row for Coach K. Takes the hand of his good friend Bobby Cremins. Our final score, Duke 87 and Georgia Tech 79.